Bonus video time!
Bonus video time!
What's up, Grassroots Yang Gang? We appreciate you tuning in on this Sunday. Why are we here on this Sunday? Well, because our boy Andrew Yang was on Fox News Sunday. And that is super exciting for us because, well, it's exciting for me because I watch Fox News Sunday every Sunday. It's about the only news thing that I do watch because I'm a huge fan of Chris Wallace. I feel like he always asks very appropriate questions, but he always tries to get to the meat of the issue, and he doesn't let you off the hook. And that's what I like about it. And if there's one person that can get at the truth, it's Chris Wallace. So,
me, on the other hand,
yeah,
I don't watch the news. Garbage.
Because the news is garbage.
I only watch the news when Andrew Yang is on it. That's basically it.
We don't tune into the news because we don't like it and because we do think it's biased. Speaking of news, there's been this whole thing about Trump and his tweets about Baltimore. Listen, y'all, former Trump people, okay, this is not okay. And I've been getting attacked on Twitter about how he's just telling the truth, and you know what? He may be pointing out issues, but he's doing it in a way, the same way a bully does. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was in school, if there was one thing I couldn't stand, it's a bully. And Trump is a bully. And the people who are on that side are just like catering to it. Like it's okay. It's not okay to be a bully. Okay? If you've ever been bullied, then you know why it's not okay. So instead of pissing on poor people who are in every city, I don't care if it's a Democrat city, I don't care if it's a Republican-run city, there are poor people everywhere. Sorry. We gotta get out the broke folk vote, man. The broke folk vote is everywhere. Okay? There's a lot of us poor people out there. There's homeless people in every city. I don't care where you are. So instead of pissing on the poor people, why don't we help them? Why don't we educate ourselves on whose policies are going to move us forward? Whose policies are going to put money into the hands of those poor people? Those poor people need that money. So now that that rant's over, let's jump into Fox News Sunday.
Shout out 2 new Patreons.
2 new Patreons.
Patreons.
Thank you guys. You guys, man, I'm telling you.
All y'all are awesome.
Thank y'all for stepping up because you know, that's going to help us pay the bills. That's going to help us keep putting these videos out. Links are in the description if you need them. But now let's get to the video.
His supporters call themselves the Yang Gang. They chant PowerPoint at his rallies and wear ball caps with MATH on the front for Make America Think Harder. Joining us now for an exclusive Fox News Sunday sit-down, Democratic presidential candidate and entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who will be on the debate stage this week. Mr. Yang, welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start with the latest Fox News poll that came out this week. It shows you tied for 6th place with Amy Klobuchar at 3%, 30 points behind Joe Biden, but running ahead of Cory Booker and Beto O'Rourke and Julian Castro. So I have kind of a good news, bad news question, which is, why do you think you're doing better than a lot of better-known politicians? And on the other hand, how do you ever make the big jump that you still have to make to get into the top tier of candidates?
Well, on the positive side, America, unfortunately, has lost a lot of confidence in its politicians. It's one reason why I'm doing so well. I'm beating many sitting senators and governors. The American people realize that our government is way behind the curve in solving the real problems, and we need to catch up and speed up. And they see someone like me as someone who can help make that possible. In terms of making the big jump to catch up to Joe Biden and the other leaders, most Americans are just tuning in to who's running in 2020. I'm still introducing myself to the American people. It's going to be a very, very fluid race over the weeks and months to come. I'm very confident I'm just going to keep on climbing the polls and start catching up to the leaders very soon.
You say people are just tuning in, but if they tuned in to the first Democratic debate, they didn't see much of Andrew Yang. You ended up getting, I had to check this out, 2 minutes and 50 seconds total. in a 2-hour debate, by far the least amount of time of any of the Democrats in the 2 debates. What's your plan to get more airtime this week?
Well, I got asked 2 questions in 2 hours, which certainly was not enough. But we're very confident that this Wednesday I'm going to have much more of an opportunity to make my case to the American people that the real central issue is that we're automating away millions of first manufacturing jobs and now retail jobs, call center jobs, and on through the economy. And because of the polling support we have, I'm not going to have just next week in Detroit. I'm going to have also September in Houston and on. My campaign is going to be here the entire way.
I want to talk about your policy proposals and automation in a moment, but just to get back to the debate, one way that is tried and true to get more attention and airtime is to go after the front runners. You're going to be on the stage on Wednesday night with 2 of the front runners, Vice President Biden and Senator Harris. Any thoughts about going after them? 1, because you have differences on issues, and 2, because it'll get you more attention.
Well, my focus is on solving the problems of the American people, and to the extent that I can drive the conversation towards those issues, I'm very excited about it. I don't think that we benefit if I'm throwing rocks at other candidates when, frankly, I agree with them on many issues. And I think right now my focus really is on still introducing myself to the American people.
One of your main messages, which you referred to a moment ago, is that you say that this country is going through a dramatic economic transformation in large part because of automation. And you say that you will keep the promises to working class Americans that President Trump has failed to keep to them. Here you are in the first debate.
I can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump. It is not left, it is not right, it is forward, and that is where I'll take the country in 2020.
You propose what you call the American Mall Act, like Shopping Mall Act, with a $6 billion fund. How would that work?
Well, we're in the process of automating away the most common jobs in the U.S. economy, which includes retail worker, call center worker, truck driver, food service. These are the jobs that are disappearing around the country, and unfortunately, they're also the most common jobs. So Amazon is closing 30% of our malls and stores and paying 0 in taxes while doing it. And these malls become sinkholes. They cause blight, become havens for crime and bad action. So we need to help communities transition these malls to become community centers or schools or even residential. But in the absence of that kind of move, these ghost malls become the last place anyone wants to be, and they destroy property value for miles around.
But what do you do if automation is the problem? What do you do to help the worker who has skills for an earlier era transition and get a job in these times?
The first big step is we need to have everyone share in all of the gains from this progress and innovation. My flagship proposal, the Freedom Dividend, would put $1,000 a month into the hands of every American so that if your mall closes or your job gets blasted away, you at least have $12,000 a year that helps take the pressure off and helps you transition in a better direction.
But are you basically on your own? In other words, are you going to provide retraining programs? Or are you basically saying, here's $12,000, help yourself?
Well, we certainly need to invest in the retraining of the American people, but we also have to be honest that we're terrible at retraining. The success rates for federally funded retraining programs for the displaced manufacturing workers in the Midwest were between 0 and 15%. And pretending that we're somehow going to become excellent at retraining Americans is lying to the American people. I was just at a truck stop in Iowa. If you went to those truckers and said, we're going to retrain you to be coders or engineers, they would be more likely to punch you in the face than sign up. So we need to put the resources directly into our hands, the hands of the American people. Certainly we need to invest in retraining programs, but we also have to be realistic about what we can and can't accomplish.
Okay, let's talk about some of the concerns about your big program, the Freedom Dividend, which is also called UBI, a Universal Basic Income, $1,000 a month to every adult, everybody over 18, regardless of whether you're Jeff Bezos or you're the guy on the street, $12,000 a year.
Bezos, yes.
Estimates are that your plan would cost about $3 trillion a year. And the main way that you would do it, you have some other methods, but your main way is a value-added tax, a VAT, the kind of sales tax they have in Europe, which is what you say would pay for this. First of all, it's basically a sales tax, which, as you know, is one of the more regressive ones. And secondly, independent groups like the Tax Foundation say, and they've looked at all of your plans, they say that your numbers don't add up, that in fact what you would get from all of this is less than $500 a month per person, not $1,000 a month per person.
First, the headline cost is much lower than $3 trillion because we're already spending over $1.5 trillion on various direct income support programs. But if we put a mechanism in place where the American people get a sliver of every Amazon transaction, and again, Amazon's $1 trillion tech company that paid zero in taxes last year. If we give the American people a sliver of every Amazon transaction, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every robot truck mile, we can generate hundreds of billions in new revenue. And the great thing is, when we put this dividend into your hands, this $1,000 a month, where does the money go? The money goes right back into local communities and the economy. It goes to car repairs and daycare and Little League signups, all the things that make us healthier and stronger and would help create millions of jobs around the country.
But I want to pick up on something you just said. Well, this is whatever it is, we pay $1.5 trillion a year in money transfers. That's one of the concerns, because some conservatives are saying, well, look, if we were giving everybody $12,000 a year, we could replace the welfare state. So yeah, everybody's going to get the Andrew Wang freedom dividend, but then the conservatives can do away with social programs that a lot of people at the lower end of the income scale depend on.
Well, my program is universal, but it's opt-in, and if you opt in, then you'd be foregoing benefits from certain existing programs. And so this, to me, would be a win-win-win, where you have these resources in the hands of the American people. You don't have restrictions on how people spend it, and you also get rid of a lot of the negative incentives, because the fact is a lot of these programs give you less if you do better, and we have to make it so that if you do better, you do better.
Final question, and this is another concern people have. Look, when you work, you get more out of it than money. You get self-esteem, you get social interaction. There's a lot of things. And some people are concerned that with your, in effect, $12,000 a year handout, that you're delinking income from actually earning a living.
Well, I'm Asian, so you know I love to work. But you have to be a little bit broader about how you think about work. My wife is at home with our 2 young boys, one of whom has autism. What does the market value her work at right now? 0. And we know that's the opposite of the truth. We know the work she's doing is among the most challenging and vital work in our society. So we need to think bigger about what we mean by work. But most Americans know that putting a bit of money into your hands is going to make you work harder in many contexts. And it's certainly not going to take someone who wants to work and say, like, oh, I'm going to kick back, because $1,000 a month is not enough to thrive in any environment.
Mr. Yang, thank you. Thanks for sharing your weekend and your ideas with us, and we'll be tracking how much time you actually get to speak in the debate this week.
Thank you, Chris. Hopefully I'll see you in Detroit.
Well, no, you won't, but that's not a Fox debate, but we would like to do one. Thank you. Coming up.
Right, Yang Gang. One thing that we wanted to mention that we are super excited about. You want to tell them?
Some big news. In New Hampshire, starting August 16th, the 16th and the 17th, there are 4 total events with Andrew Yang.
And we want to bring them to you. Just like we did the Portland rally, we want to bring you these 4 events on a live stream format. But the only way that we were able to get out to Portland was with the help of the Yang Gang. Okay? Y'all made that happen. Y'all. And we brought you the coverage. We were front row. We were at the front. We made sure to bring you front row seats. And this time, it's going to be even better, because our equipment's being upgraded and everything is like, the Yang Gang is stepping up. So if you guys want to see us cover these events in New Hampshire, y'all know what to do.
What did you think about the interview?
I thought it was okay. This is something that Andrew Yang is going to have to be careful of, because there's going to be people like Chris Wallace who are going to dig below the surface of his policies. So he's going to have those in-depth answers ready. And I feel like he did. Do I feel he could have done better? Yeah, I do. But I also think it was a good way to get him out in front of a different demographic of people, because, you know, Fox News has its people, MSNBC has its people.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Yang Gang, it's up to us to get the word out about Andrew Yang. It's awesome that he's doing all these appearances and stuff, but if you can donate time in the phone bank, get in the phone bank. That video's coming too. Y'all have an awesome, safe, blessed Sunday out there. Take the time to love somebody today. Do something nice for somebody. Give them a hug. Just out of the blue.
Oh gosh.
We love you, Yang Gang.
Yummy, 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 yummy.